Would love to know your favorite memory film in that because you are absolutely flawless in that movie.
Any given Sunday.
Yes, sir.
I think it's the best movie about football ever made.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Mr. Quaid, how are you, sir?
Hey, how are you, man?
I'm doing so well. I'm talking to you from Chicago, but I'm a Houston guy as well, so it's always an honor to be able to speak with you, man.
Well, is that a window or is that a?
That's my window. I'm here in my apartment. This is my no. This is
beautiful.
Thank
It
you
looks
very
like
much.
an eye.
You know, this might be a ridiculous question, but I would love to compare, I guess, the different muscles you have to flex as a performer on stage versus when you're on a set. I'm sort of curious, are there any similarities between performing live music and acting? Because I'd imagine you both kind of have to go to a headspace where you're kind of giving everything to people that are sort of surrounding you.
It's a little bit like apples and oranges, but it's also about what they have in common is being in the moment when you're doing it, and acting as especially like film acting, you get breaks. It lasts for a minute or two, then you take a little break and then come back to it. Being on stage is a live experience that there is no take two. That's what's so wonderful. It's kind of like being up on the high wire, and I love that part about it too. And you get to look right into the audience's eyes and really kind of like fellowship with them over that time instead of waiting 6 months.
I love that, but when you're on stage, to what degree do you get to just genuinely be yourself? And then to what degree you're an actor, are you sort of playing the role of this person who is up on stage doing it? Do you get to be 100% yourself?
Even when I'm playing a role, I'm 100% myself.
That's fair. That's fair.
They're all sides of yourself, basically. Yeah. If you're doing it right, I think. But it's being up on stage, and my favorite part is like looking out and looking at the audience. You can look right into their eyes. Everybody's blown wide open to those rules about look away when you looking right into somebody's face are not there, and the eyes are the window of the soul. It's really great. It creates a really fantastic feeling that goes out and comes back.
I love that. Speaking of going out and coming back, you were such a part of my life growing up. So many of my favorite theatrical experiences involved you. But it's funny now, I feel like oftentimes when I talk about you with my family, a lot of times we're talking about your music just as much as we're talking about your professional acting work. So at this point in your career, do you see yourself as an actor who also happens to be a great musician, or are you a musician who also knows how to act really well?
Well, I've always considered myself an actor and a musician. Mm-hmm. I've always been in a band and had one in the 80s. In fact, it was basically it was Bonnie Raitt's backup band. And I think our first gig was Chicago, in fact, on the road there. And so I've always done that. I've always written songs for the movies. I got into acting. That's the thing that kind of came up first for me, but I always knew that music would be a part of that. And it has. I've done music movies, playing Jerry Lee Lewis, and I've written songs for things as well.
You mentioned Jerry Lee Lewis. It's the 35th anniversary of that film, which I love so much. Being a musician, I'm sort of curious, how did that change your experience on that film? Because it wouldn't have worked as well as it did if the actor playing that part didn't have the knowledge of music that you do.
Well, I didn't play piano when I got that part, but I play guitar, so that was a big help as far as and being in a band. But I had a year to prepare as well, and then Jerry Lee was one of my teachers. To have Jerry Lee Lewis as your piano teacher was quite an experience. And he was very generous on that part. It was basically the left hand, which is a very athletic thing to get, and I'm still working on it, to tell you the truth, just to keep it up. And I continued on after the movie, and because the music still just so resonates with me, him, and fantastic experience.
I had no idea that that was your introduction to I thought you'd been playing your whole life. That's
I could play chopsticks, but that was
yeah. Well, I think you needed a little bit more than chopsticks on that one. Since music has been such a big part of your life, has there been any particular tough movie role or performance that you were able to get through because of music? Because you were able to go back in your trailer and pick up a guitar, or maybe just put headphones on and music got you through it?
especially by being a teenager. That is, I think that's why a lot of people take it up around that time, is because something you could do by yourself. That's one thing with acting. You cannot, it's hard to act alone. You need other people for that. And with music, you can do it by yourself, and it's self-soothing thing. It's therapy in a way for a lot of people as well, and has been for me in my life. It's place solitude in a sense that you also were able to share with the world. But yeah, you really got me through my teenage years, especially.
I love that. I
And it's
wish
all
you
about girls too,
always. I mean, dude, if you could pick up a guitar,
that's really what you're working on.
Let's be honest. That's
Yeah.
98% of the reason we all pick up guitars.
Back there in my bedroom was my moves.
I wish you could have seen my face when I did the double take the first time I saw the image of you as Ronald Reagan. I have not seen the film yet, but I am dying to see it. Everything I've seen about it so far looks incredible. I'm just sort of curious if you could have had the experience of watching the final film with him and then leaning over and going, okay, what'd you think about how I did this? What's an aspect of your performance you'd love to get his thoughts on?
I would have gone, well, what do you think? And he probably would have said, well, I'll tell you after the first weekend. It was, gosh, playing him was really very intimidating for me. He was my hero, actually, back there in the 80s. I voted for him and came back. I had a roommate at that time. I came back and he said, you voted for Reagan, you're kicked out of the hippies. And, that was it. But he's to everybody in the world knows what he looks like, sounds like. And I didn't want to do like an impersonation of him. YouTube is fantastic, though. It really was able, as far as the physicality and the voice and all that, to really go back over decades of videotape that's on him, and then talking to a lot of people who knew him.
Mm-hmm. I know you've been through, like, as you said, you've been through Chicago a time or two. Whenever you're coming through, you got a lot of people that are going to come out to your show. Do you have time to actually come out and enjoy yourself here, or is it in and out? Will you be able to actually enjoy our city?
But I love coming to Chicago. Every time I come to Chicago, I've worked there, and stayed over a period of time. And I love staying, right downtown there. And it's it's a great experience. Restaurants, the history of it, you can really feel America right there. And I love Chicago.
Yeah, when you come through, I got a very comfortable fold-out couch. You don't even need to get a hotel. I got you. I'll cut you loose on one nerdy question, if you don't mind. One of my all-time favorite movies is Any Given Sunday. It's the 25th anniversary this year. Would love to know your favorite memory film in that, because you are absolutely flawless in that movie.
Any Given Sunday?
Yes, sir.
I think it's the best movie about football ever made. Oliver Stone, he really caught the visceral experience of being down there on the field and playing it and what's going on behind the scenes in the league. Originally we had the NFL's involvement in it, and I think it was like a week before we started shooting, they took it away because they were a little uncomfortable, I think, with the truth of a lot of things that was going on back then. And but it really captures what it is to be a player, the families, the office behind the scenes. It was something else, and that's all I hear from the pros. Oliver Stone really did capture it.
He's a genius. Mr. Quaid, I got to tell you, man, it is always an honor to speak with you, sir. I am such a massive fan. You've always been
Take
kind to
care.
me, man. And we love you here in Chicago. We're very excited for you to
Really
be here.
enjoyed it.
And I hope we get to talk to you a little bit more about Reagan
Yeah.
as we get closer.
I'll be there July 19th, Athenaeum Theater. Come on out. I have a money back guarantee if you don't have a great time.
I don't think you have to give anyone their money back. I think you're good.
Yeah, well, you'll feel better going out than you did coming in. So.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.